Now that I've actually played Elden Ring, I feel a little bit more comfortable coming out and saying that yes, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is in fact better than Elden Ring. It's a longer game, it has more variety, it has better content, better writing, better characters, better visuals, better cutscenes, better themes, even. Like Xenoblade Chronicles stomps Elden Ring in every single way, shape, and form. It's kind of hard to believe that Xenoblade Chronicles debuted around the same time that Dark Souls did because when you compare the sheer evolution and growth of the Xenoblade Chronicles IP versus Fromslop, you see like a world of difference. Because in each Xenoblade game, we get an entirely new setting, an entirely new set of characters, entirely new mechanics, right? We get all these features in this like massive multi-hundred-hour long campaign, right? We get incredibly engaging world design, combat mechanics, and just memorable experiences. Probably some of the best JRPGs in recent memory. Okay. Xenoblade Chronicles is quickly reaching the pinnacle of that genre and far surpasses slop like Starfield or Skyrim and Baldur's Gate 3. Right, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, playing this again, it really has grown on me to the point where I'm very comfortable saying that yes, the game is far more well made, engaging, and interesting than Elden Ring, with its like boring, stale, derivative combat that hasn't innovated at all in over 15 years, right? Like it's crazy to look at Elden Ring and see how casualized the game has gotten since the Demon Souls days, right? It's crazy looking at like the world design and just seeing how the enemies still have that stiff, like doll-like physics system. It's weird, like exploring the open world and seeing characters repeat the same lines over and over again until you speak to them, right? It's so weird fighting bosses and seeing just how boring and uninspired they are, right? It's so weird, like trying to see people like push Elden Ring as one of the greatest games ever made when in reality this is something that's going to be completely forgotten the instant that the next major game of the year contender comes out. Is Elden Ring going to be as viable as Grand Theft Auto 6? I don't think so. Both it and Baldur's Gate 3 are going to be thrown in the trash the instant that like the Black Lives Matter simulator hits store shelves, right? Like, nobody's going to care about those games anymore. But I will still be playing better games on my Nintendo Switch, right? I'll be playing Breath of the Wild. I'll be playing Mario Wonder. I'll be playing like, all of this other stuff. And I will be playing better games. Okay. like it's so interesting like playing all these Nintendo games and just realizing just how many of them are better than Elden Ring. The thing about Xenoblade Chronicles 3 that really sticks out to me though is that this is the Nintendo game that came out in 2022 that launched alongside Elden Ring and seems to have been like its primary competition for like the game of the year thing. Nobody really considered it as game of the year worthy. Nobody really cared. Nobody talked about it at all. It was a lot like Tears of the Kingdom and Mario Wonder in that regard, where people just kind of wrote this one off and just ignored it. But that's not going to work, honestly. Because, coming in 3 years later, well, 2 years later, coming in after all this time, you really see that Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is a phenomenally well made game that far surpasses what Elden Ring has accomplished. There just is no disputing that. So, looking at like just what's going to happen going forward, right? FromSlop is going to do what they have always done. They're going to put out the same game over and over and over again. Maybe make some minor adjustments. Maybe they'll throw in like some stealth segments like they did in Sekiro. Maybe they'll like play with their storytelling formula, but it'll be the same exact game it's been since 2008. Meanwhile, MonolithSoft is going to innovate and do new and interesting things with their RPG series, right? They're going to experiment with different combat scenarios. They're going to invent entirely new worlds. They are just going to be better devs in general. And what that means is that even though games like Xenoblade Chronicles 1, 2, and X are older games, they're still going to remain very popular and talked about for years to come. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 came out in 2017, and in a lot of ways, it is still far more relevant than anything FromSlop has ever put out. No FromSlop character will ever make his way into Super Smash Bros. Ultimate like Pyra and Mithra did, right? No FromSlop game is going to have as big or an exciting as a setting as Xenoblade Chronicles X, right? No FromSlop game is going to be able to accomplish what 3 did, right? Like the FromSlop formula is old, it's tired, and eventually people are going to get sick and bored of it. You're already seeing signs of that now going into this Game of the Year season, where like Jeff Keighley has changed the rules to give the Elden Ring DLC a shot at the Game of the Year award, and you're seeing plenty of people speak up about it, right? Not only was the DLC not very good to begin with, but at the same time, like game journals are still doing everything they can to prop this series up on a pedestal to try and ignore reality that there are dozens of Nintendo franchises that are better in every single way, shape, and form. Like people wanted to put up Elden Ring against Zelda. Like it's not even on the same level as Xenoblade. It's not even on the same level as Fire Emblem, right? FromSlop is a copy and paste studio that has not innovated at all in almost its entire history, right? Like this is not a company that has been able to fix its core problems. In fact, its fans don't want them to fix their core problems. When they tried doing something a little bit different with Armored Core 6, their core fan base rejected it. They didn't like the fact they were diverting resources away from making more FromSlop games into making like a mech action game instead. To the general audience, that was sacrilegious. Like, how dare you do this to us? So again, much like a YouTuber who's forced to put out content he doesn't enjoy to his audience, FromSlop is going to have to release new FromSlop games over and over and over again to diminishing returns. And it is going to result in this company that becomes a zombie shell of itself. And that's not even going into the potential of a Sony buyout, which has gotten the fanboys all riled up. When you really look at it, when you really look at the situation with FromSlop and their their attempts at being competitive with Nintendo, the reality is clear. Nintendo is so far ahead of FromSlop that it's not even really a race.